Hey y'all, welcome to Kamira's Kitchen. Now family, you know the weather is getting warmer, so I'm going to give you some new cook out or maybe cook in recipes. Baby, we're going to make some seafood boiled potato salad, some Caribbean coconut corn, delicious and juicy turkey burgers that you can make in the air fryer or the stovetop, and some shrimp, and I like to say Aquaman meat pasta salad, okay? Now we're going to start first with this seafood salad. It is delicious, it is easy to make, and it is even great made the day before. To start, we are going to boil some water and add in 2 shrimp bouillon cubes and some salt. I love to add the bouillon cubes because they really add a great flavor. If you don't have shrimp, you can use chicken bouillon instead. I'm going to add 12 ounces of elbow macaroni, and I'm going to cook this according to the package instructions. Then I am going to drain my noodles and I am going to rinse them off very well. This is a cold pasta dish, so you do indeed need the pasta to be chilly, okay? I even like to spray on just a little bit of olive oil so that as the pasta cools, it doesn't clump together. Then I'm going to add this to a container and I am going to stick this in the fridge until it is completely cooled down. So here I go with the Aquaman meat. Now, y'all know real crab is hot. It was literally $40 a pound at Walmart. And my mama loves seafood salad. And she was like, girl, you gonna make me some? And I was like, mama, if I put that real crab in there, can't nobody eat this pasta salad except me and you. Not even my daddy can get some. Not the siblings can get some. Dad gonna have to wait till, Father's Day or his birthday to get some of this seafood salad. So I went up in there with, that imitation crab, and I just cut it into sticks and made it work. Now, of course, instead, you could add a pound of real crab. If you do that, though, just make sure you adjust the seasonings because real crab has a bit of a sweeter taste and you don't want to cover it up. I'm going to start by making the dressing for the salad. So I'm putting in some mayonnaise and then some sweet relish. I'm also going to use some sweet and spicy mustard, but Dijon mustard will be just fine, as well as the juice of half of a lemon. Of course, this is seafood, so I'm going to use some Old Bay. I'm also going to add in a little bit of garlic powder, pepper, Creole seasoning. Honey, you can just go in here and season this to your taste. At the end of the day, how much seasoning you add and how much mayo and relish you add is going to depend on how much pasta you made, okay? Now, I'm going to use some finely diced Trinity. I like to cut it small so that there's a little bit in every bite. And then I'm going to mix this up well. Of course, you want to taste your dressing to make sure it's where you want it to be, okay, before you add everything. Now, my secret ingredient is about 1/4 of a cup of sour cream. This is going to add a nice tanginess and creaminess that's a little bit different than the mayo. And people not going to exactly know what it is, but it's going to be you and our secret, okay? Now I'm going to add in my cooled down noodles as well as my Aquaman meat. And I have 12 ounces of small shrimp. They were already cooked. I defrosted them and I am going to mix this together. I can tell you right now that if you make this seafood pasta salad, folks is going to start putting some respect on your name. Do you hear me? At the cookout, they're going to be like, hey, there's a new cook in town, okay? Now, I don't know if you want that label, so you maybe don't want to make it, but I'm just telling you, it's that good, okay? I adjusted the seasonings with some chive, a little bit of sugar, a little more shrimp bouillon that I ground up finely, and lemon pepper, and I let this sit overnight so that the pasta could really absorb all of that flavor. Now, you guys know if the recipe's coming from Kamira's Kitchen, it's definitely a winner. Let me know if you're going to make this. Have you ever tried seafood boiled potato salad? Now, if you are doing a seafood boil and you have potatoes left over, this is a great recipe to make with those super flavorful potatoes. But say you aren't doing a seafood boil and you just want this dish right now. Well, honey, I'm going to show you what to do, okay? So I have some russet potatoes. I've washed them very well. I cut them in half and I am going to cover these potatoes with water. To mimic the flavors of a seafood boil, I'm going to add in a ton of seasonings. I have Old Bay, Creole Seasoning, garlic powder, a bunch of salt, all types of stuff, okay? I'm going to leave what I put in the description box, but you could also just use a pre-made seafood boil seasoning, okay? Then I'm going to add some garlic, onion, and a cut in half mandarin orange, but you could also use half of a lemon instead. I'm also going to put in a little bit of shrimp and crab boil for a bit of spice, but this is optional. Once this comes to a boil, I'm going to let this simmer for about 25 minutes until the potatoes are fork tender. While that's cooking, go ahead and get 6 eggs and put them in a pot of cool water. Bring this to a rigorous boil, okay? It got to be an angry boil. And then you want to shut off the heat on the stove and let this sit for 10 minutes. Then you're going to cool the eggs off in cold ice water. When my potatoes are ready, I am going to drain them in the sink, and I'm going to remove the onion and orange and garlic, all those little extra flavorings in the seafood boil. We don't need them anymore, and I'm going to run these potatoes under some cold water. I am emphasizing the skin because I need them to be cool enough for me to be able to peel. But you could also just stick them in the fridge overnight, and that will cool them down as well. But you can see now that they've been cooked, they are super easy to peel. And you may notice that the potatoes have a little bit of a color on them. Well, remember that these potatoes have been cooking in seasonings, not just water. So their color may be a little bit different than if you were to just use salt water. Once they are cooled enough to the touch, I am going to cut them into pieces with a butter knife. They are super soft, so baby, we ain't got to bring out a big dog knife on this one, okay? As you can see, I have a plastic container in the background because I'm going to add these potatoes to the fridge. Now, my plan was to let them cool for a few hours, but then, baby, I got tired. Okay, I got tired. And so I actually let these potatoes sit in this fridge for 3 days. I know, honey. And they was fine, okay? But they ended up getting just a little bit darker, but they still tasted the exact same. When your eggs are completely cool, they should be super easy to peel. All you gotta do is give them a tap, a little roly roll, and then them shells are going to pop right off. I am going to put 3 of the eggs aside to put inside of the potato salad, and then I am going to take 3 other eggs and I'm going to cut them up to put on the top. I always like to put the egg on the top because not only does it look cute, but it just reminds anybody with them egg allergies, okay, don't mess with this. But if you black and got an egg allergy, I know you be struggling sometimes at the soul food dinner because you know black people cook with a lot of eggs. Potato salad, cornbread, fried chicken, meatloaf, pound cake, all of that got eggs in it. Now, I took these dill pickles as well, these bread and butter pickles, and I chopped them up real fine in place of a relish. You could also just use dill and sweet relish together. I'm then going to add about a cup or so of mayo, all of my chopped up pickles, a little bit of yellow mustard, some finely diced onions, and you do want to cut them pretty small to spread out the flavor. I'm also putting in the 3 eggs whole. I know some of y'all think I'm crazy, but I'm going to show y'all how I'm going to break them up, okay? I'm going to season this with some Creole seasoning, and then I'm going to use a potato masher to begin to break up the eggs. This will get them to be really fine pieces, and it will also help me to mash up some of the potatoes. I want to get some texture and some thickness into the potato salad. So here I am throwing in, y'all, them potatoes have been in that fridge for 3 days, okay? Don't talk about them. They still taste good, okay? And then I'm going to mash them up just a little bit until you get something kind of like this. This is enough to add that thickness to your seafood boiled potato salad. And then I'm going to put in the rest of my potatoes. I am going to mix them up well in the dressing, and then I'm going to just see if it needs anything. Because the potatoes are so highly seasoned, I actually did not feel that I needed to add anything else. There was enough salt and seasoning in the potatoes, and just that little bit of Creole seasoning and the pickles, I felt like added a really great flavor to this dish. You could also go in with some chopped up parsley if you want, but for me, just some eggs on top with a little bit of smoked paprika was perfect. Let me know if you are going to try this recipe. I love this potato salad. Like a true Southern girl, I do love me some corn. I think that you guys are going to love this Caribbean spin on some boiled corn. It has coconut milk, spices, and all the flavors of the islands. And I just love this recipe, and so did my family. So first I'm going to take 6 ears of corn, and I am going to cut off the bottoms. You could actually cut the pieces of corn in half so you can have 12 pieces, but I wasn't trying to do that today, honey. I wanted the big bites. All right. Then we are going to start preparing this flavor-packed coconut milk boil that this corn is going to cook in. I am using a pack of this Grace's creamed coconut. This is really rich and delicious and concentrated. However, it does have like little bits of coconut because I think it's more like ground coconut. If that's going to bother you, that very slight grittiness, then I suggest getting a can of coconut cream or a can of coconut milk. Then I'm going to add some water to dilute this, and then season this with some magenta, some pepper, some garlic, a little bit of onion, and my green seasoning. I'll also add in some sliced up ginger, which I'll take out at the end, some thyme, as well as some allspice, and I'm going to mix this until the flavors start to come together. The trick to doing this recipe is that you don't want to add too much water. You want to really get a pan where you can put all the corn in one layer and then just add just enough water to come about halfway up the corn or so. However, I had too many ears of corn, so I had to do, a double stack, but I did not want to fill my pot with water. So what I had to do to make this work is that every once in a while, I would come through and just rotate which corn was on the bottom and which one was on the top so that I could get the best flavor in all of my corn pieces. If you want a little bit of spice, go ahead and put a habanero or a Scotch bonnet on the top. And I'm putting in a little bit of Sazon Tropical. You don't want to add too much seasonings to start out because you're going to be cooking this down for about 30 to 35 minutes uncovered. And all of the seasonings are going to concentrate. So don't taste your water now and add too many seasonings because remember, this is really going to cook down a lot. This is about 20 minutes in, and I'm just showing you guys how I'm rotating the corn that's on the bottom and bringing it to the top so that all of them can get that nice flavor. You have to allow this corn to cook until a lot of the water has evaporated and you're left with what is a thick sauce. That sauce is what is going to be the key, oh my goodness, to a sweet, spicy, flavorful corn that's going to stick while people are eating it. Honey, people are going to go back over and over and over again for some of this corn. Let me know if you're going to try this recipe. I loved it and I know you will too. Today I'm going to show you how to make some juicy turkey burgers. Now sometimes we got to take a break from the beef, okay? Put the red meat on standby. So we're going to go in with the turkey. Now first I'm going to go in with 2 pounds of this meat in a tube. Now, I ain't going to lie. Sometimes this little tube meat be giving me the heebie-jeebies a little bit. I'll just be wondering why it looked like that, okay? But the tube meat was cheaper than the tray meat. So that's what I went for today. All right. Now I'm going to add in some peppers and some onions to give it a little flavor, as well as half of a cup of breadcrumbs and 1 egg. Then I'm going to season it with about half a tablespoon of garlic and onion powder, a teaspoon of pepper, and a teaspoon of garlic and herb seasoning. I'm going to use about a teaspoon of salt and mix this in well. Now, turkey has way less flavor than beef, so you definitely have to season this up well, but you can use any seasonings that you like. I always find that turkey can fall apart a little bit when I make burgers, even by adding the breadcrumbs and the eggs. And so sometimes I like to sneak in a little bit of cheese into the inside. I find that this can help be a binder. It also makes it nice and moist. And y'all, cheese just doggone tastes good, okay? So I'm going to take about half of a slice of deli cheese. This is Munster cheese, and just hide it inside of the patties. This is optional because I know some of y'all, that cheese be having y'all locked up on the toilet, okay? So if you dairy free, all right, you don't got to do this. All right, I actually did make a couple without the cheese on the inside, and they came out great. Now, if you've been enjoying this recipe so far, go ahead and subscribe and give your girl the thumbs up. It really helps to push out my content to more people. Now, once I have formed my patties, I'm going to heat up my cast iron skillet. Now, this is the way that I tried to do them first. And I'm not going to lie, sometimes it's a hit or miss for me. So putting them in, I'm usually all good, but the issue comes when I want to flip them. Sometimes they're just a little bit soft. They don't fall apart necessarily, but they're a bit fragile. So you can try them this way. They actually will stay together once they're fully cooked. But if you have a method to sort of make them a bit more firm, let me know. The way that I like to do them that is my favorite though is with the air fryer. Okay, so what I'm going to do is put them inside of my air fryer basket, and then I'm going to air fry them at 385 degrees for about 13 minutes. I know it said 15 minutes, but I checked on them, and in about 13 minutes, they were good. Halfway through, I went through and flipped my turkey burgers, and if you want to make them a little bit more brown, you could, of course, spray them with some olive oil. The reason I really like this method is because not only is it pretty hands-free, but they always stay together when I use this technique. So if you have an air fryer, I definitely encourage you to try this. And as you can see, if you look closely, that cheese is bubbling and it's really delicious. Now we're going to take these to the next level, and I am going to put some onion slices in my cast iron skillet. I'm going to put a pinch of salt just to give them some flavor, and I'm going to cook them for about a minute until it is browned on the bottom. I really love some caramelized onion, so this is going to be perfect for my burger. Once I flip them, I'm going to go ahead and put on a turkey patty onto each round of caramelized onions. Then I'm going to add a slice of Munster cheese, but cheddar would be perfect. And I'm going to put in a little bit of water, and that is going to create steam that is going to perfectly melt the cheese. Now, I don't have a top for my cast iron skillet, so this baking pan is going to do me just right. Once that cheese is melted, I'm going to take them off, and I'm going to form these delicious double-decker turkey burgers with bacon, ketchup, bread and butter, pickles, a tomato. Honey, are you going to try this? You guys know that I love you and Jesus loves you, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye.